So for this video, we are going to be tackling the Sanguine Barrows from Return to Clockwork City on Master difficulty. Now, this encounter has something that you kind of have to take into account, which is the Grave Song. This is a support that both players are going to start the encounter with. It says, summon a creature from your discard pile and give it charge. At the end of the turn, put it on the bottom of your deck. The thing that's not said here, and it's not like immediately apparent, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. And as you can see from the screen, we're playing an assassin deck, and I'll explain why in a moment. But the thing that's not apparent in that description, and when you first mouse over the card, might not be readily apparent as well, is that it's indestructible. So we're going to go through the mulligan phase. The camel is good. We're going to go ahead and get rid of those two, though. We need some stuff to help us survive the early game, and we didn't find it. So this will be interesting. Alright, so, mousing over this, Grave Song. Even on the card, when you look at it, doesn't necessarily say indestructible, but you'll notice in the descriptors that are popping up now to the left, it is indestructible. So, if you're playing through this and you're like, oh, well, I can just, run support removal, deal with theirs, use mine, that's not how it works. Another thing to note, we're assuming that we've already done Dragon Claw Rock here. We're doing that for a couple of reasons. One, dealing 1 damage to all creatures in a lane helps keep their stuff under control, but 2, it also helps for us to potentially sacrifice some of our own creatures. Now, we're just going to go ahead and use this and then pass. Now, why would we want to sacrifice our own creatures? Well, the answer is actually pretty straightforward. When we use Grave Song, if the creature that we use it on doesn't die, we can't keep reusing it on the same creature because it shuffles it to the bottom of the deck, just like the mummy did for them there. So what we're trying to do with this is play creatures with strong summon effects, creatures that have last gasp effects, merchants, camels, and things to put stuff in our discard pile. As you can see, the opponent started with 2 and got stuff in their discard pile, and then reuse them. So, for example, if I play a harpy and I shackle this, and then I do 1 to everything here, right? I can use Grave Song on a harpy, shackle it here, crash it here, get rid of that, and Harpy's still there so I can use it next turn. And that's kind of what all of the sacrifice effects in this deck are for. It's for using, Darker Birth on Memory Wraith and things like that, for example. We also are running Memory Wraith because that's one of the most effective ways to deal with the things they have. Cruel Fire Bloom, again, kind of has obvious synergy with what we're looking to do. Sanctuary Pet is amazing for us. And it's important to note that we don't get to control where this goes. So like we know we're going to get a harpy, and it's fine because we can suicide it in either one. But it is important to note you don't get to control that. So that's another reason why you run the sacrifice effects that you do. Let's go ahead and do that, and we'll call it. Because if it pops into a lane that's empty and you can't suicide it, then you kind of get hosed. So Agent here is really fantastic for us because you need lots and lots and lots of ways to pop up guards. This is just for digging. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to drop an Agent. Now, because we have Cruel Fire Bloom, I feel entirely comfortable with using this on Sanctuary Pet so that regardless of where it ends up, thankfully we can also just do that as well, clears out the lane. So yeah, this is why I highly recommend doing Dragon Claw Rock first, because it lets us kind of chain through things. The silence is a little sad, but again, thankfully, because of Grave Song, we can get that back. Altars, again, same thing, gives us a sacrifice engine. We're going to go ahead and get an agent.
We'll stand together. Take off.
We're going to suicide said agent. We're going to clear out his graveyard. We don't want him to make use of that if we can help it. And we'll call it good there. Sheer Point, again, strong summon effect. Yet another reason that we do that. But our big goal now is to try to abuse Memory Erase kind of the best that we can. Well, let's go ahead and use this.
We'll stand together.
Alright, so again, sadly,
Take off.
sometimes that happens, which is exactly why we run the cards that we do. We're going to use the Fire Bloom because we want to use our Sheer Point here as well. They are gonna flood with some creatures. We might end up using our Dark Rebirth on this next turn, or maybe something else. Kind of depends on what we draw. So again, thankfully we have this, so it can deal with this as well. So what we're actually going to do here, we're going to do 1 damage to everything so we can clear out the 1/1s to try to deny this value. Then we're going to go ahead and use our Dark Rebirth. To do that. So the problem now is they've got a graveyard full of stuff that we would ideally love to hit with this Memory Erase, but if we do, we don't have a good follow-up way to sacrifice at the moment. Because we would have to use our Soul Split on the Memory Erase to put it in and then bring it back. So instead, I think what we're going to end up doing is playing a Merchant Camel. I think we just take the Merchant Camel, because we're okay with the Queen being in the grave. It's actually really good for us for gaining health the following turn. And we're actually, I think, going to use our Grave Song here as well on a Goblin Skulk, because that will give us another cool Fire Bloom. Let's go ahead and push some damage as well. Prophecies you have to worry about are the Lurking Mummy.
Shadows. Looks dead to me.
I am a child of darkness.
So this works out really well for us because we can kill this and then Memory Erase that away. So we're going to go ahead and start by just doing that. Alright, so the Mummify is a little sad. A lot of different ways that we can handle this right now. I think the altar is probably our best case because it gives us a renewable sacrifice engine. So we can develop altar, and then if we use this on our queen, for example,
I am the Queen Mother.
then we can go ahead and gain some health. Pop the queen into the grave. We do run Ungolem. And now that we also have the altar, we don't have to worry about saving the Soul Split.
I am a child of darkness.
Oh, right. Do you remember that time I was supposed to play Memory Wraith and I totally forgot? It's alright. It's okay. We're thankfully not that horribly punished for my horrible mistake. The good news is they only gain that health once. So, we at least have that going for us. The bad news is that they played a Bone Colossus. We're gonna go ahead and push some damage. A couple of different ways that we could go about this, but I think fetching the queen and then just sacrificing her still ends up ultimately being our best option here. So let's go ahead and do that. Gaining the health is always
I am the Queen Mother.
a primo play. Let's go ahead and make sure that they don't get any of their silly Gravesong stuff. And let's draw a card.
Let's dance.
Call it good. Alright, and that should be it.
The night is mine.
Unless, of course, we have exactly 0 answers for that, but that should be it, because we can go ahead and do the Memory Wraith, and then, again, find our queen. So that's, I mean, you get the gist of the encounter. I know I did a lot of talking up front, and I'm going to do a little bit more here as well. But the idea is, you want to use your powerful cards that either have summon effects or last gasp effects to stall. If they don't have easy ways to suicide, then use your sacrifice effects. Once you get to altars, it gives you a renewable one. If you do Dragon Claw Rock first, and I recommend that, you can use Keening to maybe kill off some of your own creatures as well. And then kind of just drive the game home that way. So hopefully this helps if you were struggling. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.